Welcome back to another Raider Take podcast video. This time we're going to get after the three best moves that the Raiders made in the 2023 offseason. Many people have criticized the moves that Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler have made regarding the more important decisions, but we do not know yet what it looks like, yet to be seen in regards to whether they're good or bad, right? That's why, in a pure fashion of being a fan, we are in a perfect position to judge and grade said decisions. I am going to take the positive vibes only road here for the better health of myself and yours. Here are the top three best moves the Las Vegas Raiders made this offseason. Number 3, signing Jakobi Meyers. One of the biggest misconceptions heading into this year's offseason is that the wide receiver position wasn't a position of need or importance. What many people didn't realize was that after the year ended, Davante Adams and Hunter Renfrow were the only receivers still under contract who had a reception during the 2022 season. Did the Raiders have a bigger position needs? Of course they did. But refilling the well in the receiving room was something they needed to address. Insert former New England Patriots wide receiver Jakobi Meyers. Myers led the Patriots in all categories last season, and by most metrics was double the next guy. He racked up 804 yards on 67 receptions and 6 touchdowns. For your reference, next best on the team, Devontae Parker, he had 539, 31, and 3. Obviously, Davante Adams is the Raiders' clear-cut number 1. Myers is probably the best player that was on the market to come in and be a very good number 2 receiver on the outside, though. His familiarity with Josh McDaniels' system has a lot to do with that, but he has proven that he can be an all-around weapon regardless of the system. Number 2, trading up for Michael Mayer in the draft. One of the biggest steals of the draft was when the Raiders traded up from 38 to 35, selecting Notre Dame tight end Michael Mayer. I would say if it wasn't for the Raiders being the ones doing it, the talking heads of the sports media world would unanimously feel the same way. Mayer was highly regarded as the best tight end in the draft, widely regarded as a top 5 to 10 player on many analyst boards. It was widely assumed he wouldn't have made it out of the top 20 picks, let alone the whole first round in general. After trading Darren Waller to the New York Giants earlier in the offseason, the Raiders undoubtedly had a need to fill at the tight end position. After bringing in Austin Hooper and O.J. Howard in free agency, the thought was that they could easily run with them this year and not necessarily address it. But when Meyer was passed on by other teams and found himself yet to be picked when day 2 came around, Raiders made a jump and snagged him. We'll see how his journey continues as the Las Vegas Raiders in the years to come. But with his abilities that he's shown and the ceiling that he has as a professional, the Raiders might have just snagged their version of Travis Kelce for the next 10 years. Number 1, moving on from Derek Carr. Debate your cat on why it was a terrible decision to move on from Derek Carr this year. At the end of the day, it was about the culture change and stepping into the next era of Raiders football. Mark Davis brought in Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler to spearhead that change, knowing it could come at the expense of a quarterback that he has personally kept around for all these years. After 9 years of having the longest leash a quarterback has ever been given, Derek Carr was ultimately benched with 2 games left in the 2022 season. He regressed in just about all metrics, but that was somewhat expected going into a new system. When it came down to it, though, McDaniels didn't see enough to warrant keeping Carr as his franchise guy and paying him $40 million going forward. I'm not going to sit here and say Jimmy Garoppolo is the answer or necessarily takes us above and beyond where Carr was. Jimmy was always going to be a bridge quarterback until this new regime found their quarterback of the future. Moving on from Carr meant moving towards a new future, and that's the best thing that this team could have done if they wanted to take that next step. There you have it. Top 3 moves. If you like the video, please subscribe, hit the like button.